Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. I am so excited. I have such a beautiful, beautiful spirit here with me today. Courtney Dawson is here. She is a medium. She's going to tell you, all about her journey, who she is, and what she can do for you. So, Courtney, take it away.
Tammy, hello. Thank you for having me on the show. It's so great to finally connect with you. We've been talking on Facebook to actually have this one-on-one connection is something really, really special. So just thank you. It's really an honor to be able to connect with somebody who shares the same philosophies and beliefs about this incredible work that we do as healers, as mediums, as representatives for the spirit. It really is.
So, share with the people how you came to this place because
Yeah,
I know that I speak to so many people, and typically the journey is not linear.
that's
Most
right.
people know that they had these gifts, as children, or, at some point in time, they had an experience. So, what was that like for you? Because, I'm just so, I love your energy. It's just so,
Thank you.
I found it on
Thank you.
Facebook and I was like, I need her on my couch.
Here I am, honey. I love it. It's interesting because I didn't have the language of what my experiences were about until I was uh early 30s, so actually I've been aware of the spirit since I was about 2. That's my earliest recollection, which is so interesting because if you
Yeah.
ask me what I did yesterday or a week ago, I have no freaking clue.
Mhm.
But when we have some of these like really intense, powerful spiritual experiences, they leave this impression or imprint within our soul. And it's just this remembrance. And I, like you, grew up in a Christian home. Parents were elders in the church, went to a private Christian school. Um, I always kind of rebelled against it a bit because I never had a problem with Jesus. I always loved Jesus. I still love Jesus. I still talk to him. I
Yeah.
pray, my heart, that'll never change. But the whole religion of Christianity, the doctrine, the dogma, all of that just never resonated with me, and there was a lot of things that I questioned and never was able to get, like, really clear and concise answers on.
You're not wrong.
So, that left me feeling like just, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this? If I don't understand it, I can't embody that, I can't live that." So, it
Yeah.
was never my truth, it was my parents' religion, I didn't know any different, But I've been seeing spirits since, like I said, about 2 years old. One of the earliest recollections, I'm in the backyard with my mom. My dad had made this beautiful wooden swing. I'm getting pushed on it by my mom, and I look up in the backyard. We had this tall fence, and there was a shadow person on top of it. Now, my mom says that I had said to her, and I still can see it, looks like a shadow person. Mom's like, "What's wrong, Courtney?" I said, um, at the time, I didn't have the language. I said, "Well, there's a brown man on the fence," because I was 2, I didn't know. Shadow, I didn't have that language. I said, "There's a brown man walking on the fence, Mom. Why is he up there?" She couldn't see. So she ends up talking to her Christian friends, and they said, "Well, Courtney's definitely seen into the spiritual realm." That was it. Well, what do I do for her? Just pray. Pray. Now, I do believe in prayer, and I believe a prayer is powerful, and I pray every day. It's my relationship with my soul, to the creator. That works for me. It's
Yes.
part of my life. And interestingly, I had a lot of experiences with the other world, but they weren't all love and light, warm and fuzzy. I'll tell you, some of it was some scary shit. And I'll spare the details, but some of it was scary because they weren't all loving. It wasn't all like grandmas and grandpas and, hugs and kisses. Some of it was some negative stuff as far as the language they were using, things that they were trying to get me to do. They were trying to hurt me. I was riddled with anxiety, Tammy. Um, it was bad. It was, again, I had no one to support me. I don't think it's really my parents' fault. They
What
were Christians, they had their
is it?
religion, and they didn't have no one to support them, so back when I was growing up, because 'cause I'm 44, there was no internet, we couldn't Google shit, there was
Oh,
none of that, so it's
oh.
called, best of luck, hope it works out for you, and
If you
honestly,
find a book in the card catalog, or find a metaphysical shop, if you could find one of those.
Yeah, and I didn't even know there was such a thing that existed because my parents were so strict.
Mhm.
Like, we weren't allowed to sleep over at friends. What we watched on TV was monitored. We weren't allowed to listen to certain music on the radio. Like, it was really restrictive. And when I
Mhm.
look back now, I go, holy smokes, right? So things that I would have never had the resources to get the answers. So I struggled and it caused me to have generalized anxiety disorder to the point, legit,
Yeah,
taking medicine for it because I didn't know how to cope. It was brutal. Not all of it was bad, but I think some of it was fearful because I lacked understanding. I didn't understand what this meant, right? And this is where I totally believe knowledge is power.
yeah,
When you can educate yourself and have information, you're in this position of power because now you fully understand all sides of the situation and you can decide how you're going to react or not react.
yes.
And I remember growing up, there would be spirits standing in my door frame, just standing there. And it used to scare the heck out of me. I don't
Yeah.
know who these, right? I didn't know who they were, what they wanted, and I didn't want to find out, right? And my sister is also very sensitive to the spirit. And we shared a room and we could feel them in our room. And we used to sleep with the blanket over our head, hoping these guys would go away.
Oh,
And it was just, it was rough. And then as a teen, again, I didn't have the language that this was mediumship. I didn't know that. But my parents knew there was something different about me because I would get information about things that were going to happen. So, psychic information, precognition, and it would always be true. And so, my parents really believed that I was hearing from God. Maybe I was, but I was definitely hearing from the other side. And these things would just happen. So, they always listened to me when I would tell them stuff. But another experience I had, I was about maybe 5 or 6, and I was in my bedroom, massive bedroom, and there's this boy and this little girl around the same age as me. They're hiding behind the headboard, they're playing peekaboo, and I'm trying to figure out who they are, and all of a sudden they vanished. And they weren't silhouette like how they're portrayed in Hollywood. They legit were objective. So I didn't know that they were so-called dead, right? No clue. And then they just disappeared and that actually scared me. And I cried and I screamed. My mom comes up and I'm like, "Where are these kids?" Blah blah blah. She's like, "Uh-oh, I don't know what's going on here." And then I just had experiences my whole life, Tammy. And as a teen, it definitely amplified, and so I did what I could to kind of numb it out or turn down the sensitivity, a bit of a rebellious teen and just feeling like I didn't fit in, and I always kept, like, a really small social circle because I just picked up on people and
yeah,
their vibes, and I always thought I was judgmental, and I wasn't, I was just picking up on shit, right?
yes.
So, that's tough too, you just feel like you don't belong and you want to, and it's not it ain't easy.
Mhm.
Um, when I went through my divorce, I was 30, went through a very tumultuous divorce. My babies were, I think they were like 8 and 10, my littles at the time. And I went through another awakening and the abilities came up full force. Mind you, prior to that, my daughter was having mediumistic experiences, but I didn't know how to help her. So I was like, dang, I got to do something. Have this awakening. I got a girlfriend who has a lady family friend who's a Reiki master. I went and saw her, and that was really this path of opening up to the spiritual realities.
Yes.
And it's so interesting. I used to always say, well, I'm just going to go sit in the bath and meditate and journal. Well, I was doing that, but it wasn't like I was going into like sitting and doing the traditional what we think of as meditation. I was just sitting and allowing myself to move into the stillness and I would hear spirit. I used to think it was God because again, I didn't know. But I would journal what I was told and what I would see, and it would always be accurate. And it was always really what I needed. So I trusted that. It
So
was
you were
really
so you were sitting in the power before you even knew.
yeah, I didn't have the language, no idea. Yep.
It's so amazing. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. It really is because you just move into this state of oneness with your own soul, and then you expand further and move into that presence of the spirit. And we know when you're connecting with spirit, it's that essence of unconditional love.
Yeah,
People are like, what is sitting in the power? And I think it's different each time you sit.
I do too.
And it's like it has its own pulse.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And but yeah, that's really I never thought of it that way, Tell me. That's so cool. And so I would write down all of this stuff and going for Reiki, my mediumship abilities just like the doors flew open and I couldn't shut the shit off for the life of me. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? So about 3 years later, I'm still having these like really profound experiences, not really understanding what's going on. I find myself at my friend's house. They went to a spiritualist church locally here in the Vancouver area. And they told me about these mediums on a stage giving messages. A family friend, their brother had passed, and they got a contact, and it was very evidential and healing. And then I heard this voice say, Courtney, you got to go there. I'm like, oh, shit. But I didn't tell nobody, nothing, right? Kept it really, really quiet. And I was so scared. Again, judgment, religious trauma,
Yeah.
fear of being prosecuted, not literally, but like just being persecuted, pardon me, persecuted by people.
Yes.
It's tough. It's all fear-based
Yeah.
and it's not anchored in love, but I didn't know what to do. But this voice just got stronger and stronger. Well, I was scared shitless. I didn't talk to my family and I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't ask the friends, hey, what's the place called? I was too scared. Long story short, spirit worked with me and it took me 9 months and I Googled and I didn't even know what I was Googling for. Found the place. And I said to my girlfriend, who took me to the Reiki master, hey, y'all want to go? You want to? She's like, oh, I've been there multiple times. What? And then I had this incredible, profound experience where I ended up giving a contact to somebody that night, but didn't know like what I was doing. It was just so natural. I didn't know the words again, like mediumship. I didn't understand evidence, ethics, all like I didn't have any of that training, Tammy. So I was just very much led by the spirit. But
Mhm.
long story short, it was a very persistent spirit who wanted to get in contact with his daughter and his granddaughter. And I could see him clairvoyantly again, just like when I was a kid. I'm like, oh my God. And it was so strong. I thought somebody spiked my water.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had anxiety. I was like, dang, my girlfriend's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not okay. Something is up. And I kept closing my eyes, hoping it would go away. And I'd open my eyes and I was seeing spirits. This was a message night at the church. There was a platform, there's the medium working, and I saw spirits coming out of the wall. Later, I found out that was a portal. So I was literally seeing them coming out, and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So the spirit kept following me and I made a deal with this guy and I said, if this and this and this happens, I'll do it. Well, it did. So I went up to the people. I said, I'm so sorry to bother you. My name's Courtney. This is kind of what's going on here. Um, did you come here to talk to your dad tonight, but you didn't get the message? Yeah. And I said, and the lady was a psychic artist. I said, there's a picture inside that never got placed with the recipient. Go inside and get that, and I'll come here. And then would you mind if I give you the message of what he wants to say? And they're like, yeah, of course. And they grabbed the sketch. It was their dad and grandpa. And I gave the contact and gave specific pieces of evidence. And they were just like, thank you so much. This is what we needed. Now, I am a developed medium. I am a disciplined medium. I have boundaries and I have ethics, and I do not promote going out into parking lots or at centers and giving random messages, by the way. Okay. Um,
yes.
but
Thank
it
you
had,
for that disclaimer. Yeah.
yeah, I don't agree with that whatsoever. That was untrained Courtney, I know better now. But it was really inspired by the spirit, the right people, the right situations, so it could happen for me to realize everything that I'd went through in my life up until that point, all of the experiences, it was just like a light bulb moment. I know what I'm meant to do, and it's meant to help people heal. To be that voice for the spirit and just to be a service. And I came home, my husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, you won't believe what happened. He's like, what? Because I kept it on the down low. My new husband, because I got remarried, right? He's like, excuse me? Yeah. Anyways, he's been my biggest supporter. And
So you
yeah,
got your professional one, huh?
what's that?
So you got your professional one.
He is a professional. Yeah. Yeah, he's incredible. He's such a blessing and again spirit led too. But that was really this place of like, shit, this is mediumship. This is what's going on. Now I need to sort it out. So from that point on, I went back to that church and I said, yo, I need some help. What can you do for me? So I started sitting in a mediumship development circle every week, took every class, workshop that I could. I was, like the newbies, we take all, we're like a sponge. We want to soak it all in.
Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I needed to kind of find that balance and let everything integrate and allow it to become my own connection, not just
Yeah.
what I was being taught.
Yes.
And lots of personal development that goes, coincides with the foundational training with your mediumship, which is what I teach my students as well. I can teach you how to connect with spirit, honey, but spirit's got another plan too. They want you to heal, they want you to do the inner work. That way you can become that clearer channel. That way they can get through the filters that we have created for ourselves. Also, because of our lived experiences, that
Yeah.
way we can become just the purest, clearest channel that we can possibly be. And so we've got this spiritualization of self or the personal development and the mediumship development. And I just really anchored in and I knew that I was meant to do this.
Hmm. I like that.
Interestingly enough, a couple years later, I ended up getting into the spiritualist ministry training program and trained for 5 years and got ordained.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so now I serve the local churches, and I do a lot of online services, divine services for global spiritualist centers and churches too. So that's kind of like I'll stop there because I mean, oh my God, I don't even know where to stop. There's so much that's happened.
I know. I was going to say, well, you will definitely have to share the link because I live outside of Seattle.
Oh, do you? Oh, you're not far.
Yeah. And I've been wanting to take a trip up there because my husband hasn't been there and I haven't been there in, I don't know, 35 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're like, yeah, so because we went to Victoria, but we're
Yeah.
like, okay, we need to go check out Vancouver. And so we've been saying we're gonna do it, but we just hadn't, made a plan to do it because, it's 2 hour drive.
I know. I'm going down there to Seattle in November 9th, because my hubby and I are going to Maui. We love Maui. It's just cheaper to fly out of there. So I go down there occasionally. And yeah, so it's actually not, it's a beautiful drive. It's not bad, eh?
I was
If
gonna
you
say,
come up here, you let me know. We'll get together.
we sure will. I was gonna say, and let me know how Maui is because we're actually that's the trip we're thinking about too.
We love it. We love it. It's so healing. And I've had incredible spiritual experiences there.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, just the energy on the island is so different than Oahu.
Okay.
We love Maui, and if I could move there full time, I would. I don't think that's happening anytime soon unless spirit decides, but I would love to live there at least part time. The healing energy and the presence of the spirit there is absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's just palpable. I love it. So when I go there on vacation, I'm
I
usually
like that.
teaching online. I love it.
You're speaking my language because that is something I had heard and my husband and I actually talked about it, but we just got off a Princess 7 day cruise to Alaska. And we were in Victoria.
Okay.
But and we were looking at the cruises because we are like, oh my God, the cruises was so much fun. It was my first. And
Yeah.
we're like, okay, we already paid a deposit to get another cruise. So we're like, we're gonna go. So I was looking, we can actually cruise to Hawaii from here. And I was
I know
like,
that.
you'd have to do that. It does go to Maui. But then the other thing is, I told my husband, I said, I really honestly wouldn't mind doing like a resort in Hawaii, just flying over there, and doing that. Because I'm ready. I'm ready. Anyway,
I love it.
moving on. I just want to hear about, you know, as you made those transitions, from I'm gonna call it regular life into
Yeah.
into real life.
Yeah.
Especially the part I love it how, your husband was supportive because that goes a long way and people don't often realize that until they do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, Tammy. Absolutely. This work, it can feel really lonely
Yes.
because when we're developing our mediumship, we're also developing ourselves. We're getting to know ourselves. We're doing the inner work. We're healing our shit. We're letting go of belief systems, ways of being and thinking and acting. And not only does our life change spiritually, but physically, like my body responds differently to caffeine. I can't drink no more. Now, I have no problem with drinking wine, believe me, but I'm so hypersensitive now. it just doesn't work. I can't eat red meat anymore because my body's changed. But so there's like the physiological changes that happen with mediumship. And then there's the connections that you have with people, where the people that I've had friendships with for, 30 plus years, they've been incredible people. There's just it's different because the way that you view things
Yes.
is so different. There becomes this contrast that I find sometimes there's less in common than what you had before. So it can be really lonely. And Silver Birch, who's for your listeners that don't know who Silver Birch is, he was an incredible spirit guide for an amazing trance medium, Maurice Barbanel, who was also the editor of Psychic News. Silver Birch has a series of 13 books that are transcriptions of his seances.
Right.
Incredible. And he's always said mediumship is a lonely road because it is a journey of going within. It's
Yes.
about connecting to the spirit within. And it's not easy. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes it feels lonely because it's like, I mean, I don't talk to dead people because they're people. They just don't have bodies. But with that being said,
I love.
how I have that connection with spirit and how that has changed how I live and the choices I make and the people I hang out with. It's different, you know? And let's face it, when you work intuitively, psychically, mediumistically, whatever you want to call it, you become sensitive and you've got a bullshit radar. You can pick up on people's stuff, and you don't have to waste your time getting into conversation. You know that you know that you know, and you're like, I ain't going there. And so that discernment is there to protect you, but at the same time, it can limit some of the social interactions you have because you're like, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not entertaining that. And it's not about ego, it's about self-preservation and self-care. Right?
Yes.
So having those supportive partners are really, really important. And I'm really grateful that my husband is very supportive, because when I was preparing to transition from my 9 to 5 into full-time mediumship, Spirit had given me the heads up like 3 to 4 years before. And they said, Courtney, you're going to be leaving work, this, that, and the other. And they gave me a lot of details, Tammy. I said, no, I hate my job, but I make good money, but I got benefits and I got this, this, and this. And they said, mm-hmm. So, and then I got in the car accident. I was left with chronic pain, like badly. And it just got to the point where it was debilitating. And then I had a breast cancer scare, and Spirit had said, you're going to be leaving your work by November 1st. And I just fought it tooth and nail. And I told my husband, he says, well, just start putting money away from your paychecks. No problem. Then open up your calendar whenever you decide, a couple months before, open up your calendar, and hopefully you've got bookings. So when you're done, you got income coming in. Hmm, smart guy, he's not all looks.
It is.
And it's
I think
exactly what
it's
I it's exactly what I did. And I'll tell you something, Tammy, my last day of work was Friday, October 30th. Spirit was dead on, and I was like, "Oh my goodness." And I opened up my booking calendar, because I was just doing it evenings and weekends because I was working 60-hour weeks, right?
yes.
And I was
What,
booked
you
3
guys work
months
like that
out.
up there too?
What's that?
Say what? You guys work like that up there too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You north of the border, you guys didn't work like we do here. I tell people, I said, I think I work like a runaway slave because sometimes 80, 100 hours a week,
That's crazy. We're not
double.
meant to work that. We're not meant to
Oh, no,
work
I'm not.
that.
No.
Uh-uh. So, it was interesting when I opened up my booking calendar, and by the time I was ready to leave my job, I was booked 3 months out, and I've just been booked since.
All
And
right.
but Spirits just, and I mean, I never did paid ads or nothing. I wasn't doing the kind of content I'm doing now, but I just said, Spirit, I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
So you lead. And it's just where it's been. And my connection with Spirit has just really evolved over time. And it's, really grown. And some of the opportunities that have come my way, like even coming on your show, I'm just like, wow, I'm so grateful. So grateful. But I will never take credit for it, because if it wasn't for the love and the generosity of the Spirit, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today. Like, I can take time off when I'm having pain days. I can reschedule clients. If I'm just like, I'm not feeling it, I get to reschedule. I don't have to be a slave to the man, you know what I mean? And I've got this time freedom, but most importantly, I'm doing what I love.
Yeah. And
I
also,
love it.
you moving the needle in the
Yeah,
planet. You
that's
know,
right.
anytime I believe that anytime that we help people heal, we're moving the needle because there's so much. Oh, let me see how to say this right. So much darkness in the world.
Mhm.
And I see it a lot because I do TikTok and I do TikTok lives. And so
Yeah.
I do, I find myself now doing a lot more healing. I do readings and stuff while the people come on, and sometimes the dead people, I mean the spirit people will come through, and if they
Mhm.
do, and I'll say, hey, anybody got a, a father or whatever, whatever. And but it's so much and people are hurting and it's so heavy.
Yeah.
Because I was telling a friend of mine, I said, when I go on there, I'm not gonna stay longer than 3 hours at a time. I said,
That's a
because
long time. It's a long time. I can't do that. I do like an hour max. I'm drained.
I'm telling you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I learned after a while, I mean, I have to like physically, consciously disconnect from each and every person. And I do it
Mhm.
like with intention because I started feeling it, feel everything anyway. And I was like, but I was like, I know that there's a reason why I'm here. I said, because
Yeah.
I'm praying on this app and I really, and I was like, so many people are doing so many different things. And then the other part is, I was like, I know that I'm authentic. I know that I am here to help and I work for God,
Mhm.
and I don't know how other people do what they do, but I'm like you. I'm like, I'm ethical. I'm not, you'll never find me reaching out to somebody. I saw your energy and strong spirit, all that stupid stuff. I'm like, no, nobody got time for that. I was like, no, but
No.
how did you get to the place um, where you saw yourself in this space? Because I can see that, because you're clairvoyant as well, you could see that, showing up even through when the spirit was sharing with you, when the spirit told you, hey, you get ready to, leave this place. I feel like also the car accident came just to push you out the door.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I always say I hear spirit, but I'm a slow learner. You know? My mom says, she's like, "Do you like self-punishment or something? You hearing God, just follow the instructions." I'm like, "I know, I know." That's the human part of me though, right? Even though I'm a medium, I always tell people I'm a human first before I'm a medium. So I don't claim to be something that I'm not. I have that connection with spirit. I have that ability to tune into them, which I'm grateful for. I love that connection with spirit, but I'm also human. I got my own stuff. The ego likes to slip in and chime in and give her 2 cents, and she just needs to be put in her place. And sometimes I let her play a little bit before I rein her back in. There's the human, and I'm honest about it, right? But I think like going back to your question, I never really envisioned what spirit fully had in store for me.
Oh,
Year
wow.
about 10 years ago, they had given me a vision of standing like in an auditorium on a stage, but I wasn't just demonstrating mediumship, I was teaching mediumship to like a bunch of people. And I said, "Oh, yeah. Well, I have my online school. We're just in a rebranding phase right now." And I go, "Oh my God." And I'm teaching people from all over, literally four corners of the globe, like as far as Singapore, Australia, India, how to connect with spirit ethically, how to make that connection,
Yes.
how to allow themselves to heal. And so it's not about gatekeeping, it's about sharing what I've learned and I'm always going to learn, and inspiring people to do the same. And your life becomes like this living testimony, right? And so this is where ethics are so important to how we show up in the work that we do in our one-to-ones and class settings, in our marketing, in all of our connections. And it's a big responsibility because, again, like I said earlier, I don't know if we were recording or prior to, but I'm like the PR for the spirit people. They need a body, they need a channel, and I've agreed to work with them.
Yeah.
So it's not just about Courtney. I'm also a representative for them. And I don't take that lightly. And there's nothing like novelty about that. It is sacred, the work that we do, because we are helping heal hearts and we're inspiring the living. And so I just, sometimes they give me like a little bit of an overview, but I go, yo, my ADHD brain gets too overwhelmed and anxious because I start thinking about all the moving components and I go, okay, we got to bring it back.
Mhm.
Let's just, thanks for the heads up, but I just got to stay present in the moment and just work on what I'm doing in the moment, today, now, and the next steps will be shown.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, that is powerful because that is, to me, that's the journey. Because
Yep.
I feel like so many of us in this field do have those problems. Because I told somebody, I said, I know I'm ADD. I've not had any type of diagnosis, but I know myself, and
Mhm.
I've had thoughts of maybe I should get some Ritalin for, for those some days, and then I
Mhm.
was, I need to, work on this healing and all this kind of stuff, and I'm all natural girl too, I rather, do something with some herbs and,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. But I was like, yeah, but to me, recognizing that and knowing, where you are, that way you can pull yourself back in. Because I find that even in meditation sometimes for me. Like I was doing a journey in my own circle that I'm a part of. And she's doing a journey and it was wonderful. I could feel it, but I could feel myself just going out there, like, something coming in about, what I had to do. And, I got to get this done. I got to finish that. I got some other shit to do. I'm hungry, all kinds of 50 things. And so finally I said, no, 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 no. See, no, this is not time for that. And I'm having
Mhm.
this conversation here on my head while we're sitting on this journey. I'm like, no, no, no. And then, after that, then spirit people started trying to come in. I said, see, no, no, it's not time for y'all either. But
Absolutely, absolutely. You gotta let them know too, because sometimes they wanna come in, they're like, "Oh, her busy mind is a little bit quiet, let's sneak on in," and sometimes I have to tell them, "Yo, this is for me. When I'm ready to sit with you." So I have my appointments with spirit, that's what I call it. I got an appointment with spirit, I show up, they show up. But then there's times we just need time for us.
yes, I mean, yes, 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 yes. I mean, big yes, because it's like I find myself, working, 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 and in human design, I'm a reflector. So,
Okay,
it's totally and completely against my damn design anyway to do that. But I find myself like last night I was working because I've decided that I wanted to create a membership. Had coaches that told me, don't do that, don't do that. But I kept getting the nudge from spirit to do this because I had to, get to the place where I figured out how do I want to work, because I'm like, I can't do 50,000 one-to-ones. I can't do it. My energy
mhm,
doesn't do it. I don't know. So I said, I don't want to work like that. I want to work smarter, not harder.
mhm, yep.
So I was up doing that till like 2 in the morning. I'm usually asleep by then because I have flipped my body back from working night shift for all these decades. And I was like, damn, so finally I look up, I'm like, why am I still up? But I was getting into it and I was putting the stuff in there and and all that. And then I was like, all right. And then finally I looked down, I was like, okay, I finished this. All right, I'm gonna go to bed. And my husband looks at me and goes, dang, you up kind of late. I was like, I know. I said, but it was just so exciting, just to do start doing something that I feel called to do, because
Absolutely.
this is the way I want to support people the most.
And spirit will be, I mean, I've invested multiple five figures in business coaches who have different philosophies and different ways of strategizing, incorporating energetics and different whatever. And some of it's vibe, some of it hasn't. The last coach that I worked with was incredible. And what I've learned is we can have all of their strategies, their ways of creating a platform, ways of creating our offers, packages, services, how to market it, how to create our brand message, how to create our like memberships, funnels, like the whole thing, right? I'll tell you something. My ADD brain got overwhelmed and I drove myself nuts trying to incorporate all this shit. And you know what Spirit said? Well, we can help you. Dang, I was like, "Shit."
You
But
almost
I'll
said,
tell you right it
could you have done it before I spent the thousands of dollars?
I could have asked before I spent the thousands of dollars. I'm gonna own that. It ain't Spirit's fault. It's Courtney's. I won't blame Spirit. They do what they can, but they know me, right? I'm a Cancer. What is it? My sun is Cancer, my moon is Virgo, and my rising is Virgo. So if anybody knows about astrology, you would think I was Virgo, not Cancer. So, there you go, you gotta know a little bit about me. So, with that, I will tell you, I get strategies, I have all of that stuff. I have a marketing background too. I've worked corporate, I know how to do stuff, which is a good transferable work skill.
Yeah.
But when it comes to doing this spiritual work, I don't care what your background is. If you're not anchored into connecting with your guides and asking for their help, the shit falls flat and it doesn't work. And just an example. So I have done followed strategies from one of my business coaches, and I did a launch for a course. I barely made anything. The amount of time, energy, and effort I put into it, it sucked.
Yep.
People that came in were wonderful, but the energy wasn't aligned.
Yes.
And I was like, oh. And I said, Spirit, y'all got to help a girl out. Let's do this. I put a quarter of the amount of effort into my marketing, but everything was so aligned with spirit energy. I've done this multiple times now, and I've actually just done it recently. I haven't even promoted it on Facebook. I've just sold in my IG stories. Um, my stuff is selling out, and I'm putting in less effort if I connect with the spirit, because they're going to help you with your brand messaging, your wording, to create the energetics that help you attract your ideal clients. And your ideal clients are the people that are looking for somebody like you, that are looking for your services in a way that only you can provide. They're not looking for no cookie cutter molds. And I
Yes.
mean, you just look at anything with social media marketing once, and the algorithm floods your feed with it. And everybody's got their own flavor, their own way of doing things. But I'll tell you, if spirit's not anchored in your spiritual work, you will not find the financial freedom, the time freedom, the the feeling of true fulfillment without them. Because mediumship, spirit, if spirit is absent from mediumship, there is no mediumship.
That's right.
Then we're working intuitively, which is no problem. But we need, especially if we're doing the work, mediumship work, we need to have spirit involved, because it is through them that any of this can even work. And anybody, I don't care who you are, honey, you call yourself an intuitive, a sensitive, a healer, whatever, get to know your spirit guides, get talking to them, anchor into their support,
Yes. Yes.
because they are going to help you. Now, again, I have ADD, so my brain kind of goes off in a tangent, and I will pause and stop and go, Spirit, where are we going here? And they'll give me a couple words. I go, oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. And that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is an important thing to say, because so many people, uh, I have to think about how I say things. Um, there is so much out there that people are pushing that is inauthentic, and
Hmm.
it's teaching people to be inauthentic. So what you said was powerful, because we really, so much of, and I've done that too. I've done the coaches and all that, and some, and then others. I had one that, was cookie cutter everything, and oh, well, just, put your shit on here and, put it out, because, I made, 10,000 on it or whatever, whatever, and put it out there, did all the damn work, and yeah, didn't make, I think about, I don't know, nothing. And so I said,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
And so then I thought about it. I was like, it really is my energy and transformation that they're buying,
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
her or his or theirs or whoever's. And, and the other thing is too is, how do I work? And what I notice is that the people that are attracted to me are like me.
Hmm.
They don't like fucking 50,000 emails, a week, you know, certain things, like they don't want too much stuff, because what I notice is too is, sometimes in some of these programs, there is so much stuff in there, you get over freaking whelmed.
Yeah.
So much stuff. And I'm like, okay, do you people, I still have a life too. This is not the only thing that I do, you know,
Absolutely.
God, So that's the other part for me. Is like, I never want people to feel like I have felt in some programs. And then I feel
Yeah.
like you, like I never had anybody when I started on this journey to really guide me. Like I had, I say my grandmother was my first energy healer, and she was a pastor. And I thought about something when you were talking about your accident. God called her to come out and start a church. Now she was in a Pentecostal religion. They didn't allow women to preach. They barely allowed them
Yeah.
to. All they could do was introduce the speaker or the pastor, whoever, right? And she was a missionary mother or whatever, And so she said God called her to pastor. So she started her own church, and I didn't realize how phenomenal this was in the 70s. For a
Oh
little,
God, yeah, absolutely. That's major. The patriarchy is just running rampant for like, well, last couple thousand years.
I'm telling you, women couldn't even
Yeah.
buy houses and cars and shit without their
Hmm.
husband or their daddy or their brother or some man, till the 70s. So I thought about that the other day. I was like, wow, she was a fucking amazing person because she started this church on her own in the
Yeah.
70s. Little tiny black woman. My grandmother was 4'9". So, I'm like, oh my God, because I was thinking about like legacy and stuff. And I know that for me, I'm carrying on her legacy, but in a different way. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I thought it was going to be that way because I went to ministry school, all these things. And so I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be, do what she's. But no, I'm supposed to do it in this way because she had all these gifts. But because of, you know, the conditioning and the
Yeah.
patriarchy and all the things, she could never show all those gifts to everybody. But I knew because she was my person.
Hmm.
She poured into me. And so I knew like even as a child, I started seeing dead people in a crazy way. So like I would so like if we were in a place together, you and I saw you, all of a sudden I would get like a flash, and I would see you in the casket and I would see you in whatever you had on. So when I went to the funerals, of course they had on the same thing that I saw them in the box. So like I had an auntie, she died, saw her in the box in this white suit. It's what the hell she was buried in. And so I was like, okay,
Wow.
scary. Scary
Yeah.
as a little tiny child. I mean, and then who do you tell that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
For,
Oh, yeah.
fortunately, I have my grandmother I could talk to. And she understood and she said, and I asked her, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, well, you're supposed to pray. I said, well, I'm supposed to tell him. She said, well, you're supposed to pray and ask God, should you tell him? And if God says to tell him, tell him. If not, just pray for him. So I was like,
Mm.
all righty then. But these are things that, I can see that shaped, the woman that I'm becoming, that I've become today. And even
Hmm.
embracing all of that stuff, because it was like, well, it was hard when you started because, you had been taught all these other things, all these things that we do,
Hmm.
especially the tarot and astrology, that was the devil,
Oh, yeah.
so in your mind, even though that's not true, but somewhere in your mind, you still have those little that you got to go, okay, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
that was bullshit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in my ministry training, I study comparative religion, and I find it fascinating that there's this common thread between all of the religions, and what I will say is that a lot of the religion, especially if we look at Christianity, it's actually one of the newest religions, it's only a couple thousand years old. It was all fear-based, and it was about controlling the people.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it was never about any of the teachings of what Jesus actually taught. He was a legit person. I mean, we can validate that, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. And he just taught love, 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 and healing. That was it, right? Jesus was the embodiment, physical manifestation of love embodied in physical form.
Yes,
And he really created this example for us light workers to aspire to be like, to embody love, to share love, to hold space for others, to help people connect to the spirit within, to realize that you don't need an intermediary to connect to your creator, whether
yes,
you call that God, source, universe, whatever, right? You don't need that. You are, and you're enough, and you're more than enough, and that you're unconditionally loved. And that's part of the things that we learn when we're working within the spiritual arts, is that we can have different views, but there is a truth that is agreed upon in all these religions, that we are spirit, that we are God, we are part of God. And I
yes.
don't mean we are God in an egoic state, but if we want to go back to the Bible, it says, man was made in the image of God. I'll leave it at that.
And then it's
Um,
"Ye are gods" in Psalms. Yes, it does. Yeah.
yeah, there we go.
So there.
So, it's just about really being anchored into this service work, and having we talked about, you having spiritual entrepreneurs on the show. And what I would say to people is before you do anything related to your business, get right with yourself, get anchored into who you are and why you're doing this, and make sure you have that strong connection with the spirit world. Then look at perhaps different strategies on how you can incorporate things
Yes.
into your business that is aligned with you and your connection with your own soul and with spirit, and
Yes.
then see what resonates and then do you. If anything, I would say, like, I'm just going to share a tip. If all you do is figure out who you want to be,
Yes.
how you want to help people, and then who your ideal clients are, just pick up your phone and start talking on camera. That's it. Be raw, authentic, and heart-centered, and I promise you, if you did just that, you're still gonna attract clients. That's it.
That is,
Strategies are good, but that's the first place to start, and it ain't gonna cost you any money.
I was gonna say that is the most amazing advice. And I'm so glad you put that out there, because what I know is that a lot of times people try to make this hard,
Mhm.
and you're already in a little fear of, putting yourself out there and all this kind of stuff. But then they try to make it more complicated. And I'm like, no, it's really not.
Mhm.
It's really not. And yeah, and that is just such a powerful thing that we have access to all of this to do now.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I mean, I work with aspiring psychic mediums who wanna become professional mediums, not just professional, but ethical professional mediums, I gotta put that in there, and we look at the mediumship development, but then we look at when it comes to building your business plan is about what do you wanna do? Forget what you see other mediums doing or other healers doing. I don't care about that, I don't want you to think about that. What do you wanna do? And then let's make a plan that is aligned for you. And it really can be that simple. It's about just getting so authentic and connected to your message, who you are, and who you want to speak to. And it's just about becoming visible with that, being anchored into your brand message, which is your mission. And mine has pivoted over the years as my work with spirit has grown and evolved because I'm not a take me from A to Z or 0 to 100. I need progression. I need time. I need it to integrate. I need to get to the place that I'm able to hold space for people for this next level of
Yes,
work that I'm doing, right?
yes,
And
yes,
you get that. And
yes.
so what we do is then niche, really, that is identifying what niche are you, right? I'm really in the money industry and money niche because I'm helping people transition from their 9 to 5 to go into full-time mediumship. But my little subcategories, if you will, it's about mediumship, it's about service work. And, there's lots of strategies behind it, but mine is about not so much, it is about like I do talk about money because, well, honey, money pay the bills. And I
They
also
try to live
talk
without it. I mean,
girls gotta eat.
I was gonna say, ask some of these people, the unhoused people.
That's right. It's crazy. It's like I'm really finding in this recent pivot with spirit, a lot of people got the feathers ruffled. They don't like, us healers and mediums and psychics talking about the potential income levels that are available and being abundantly paid. Well, I just say, you know what? That's a lot of archaic patriarchal thinking that is so outdated, and I ain't conforming to that. I'm not. My work is always about being of service to the spirit first and foremost. And spirit and I have an agreement. And I've said to them, if y'all never want me to do, if you ever get to the point and you're like, y'all, you're not doing this no more, Courtney. We got something else. No problem. I know that wherever they're leading me, I'm meant to be. And there is a huge rising of spiritual workers that are coming to the place in their life where they have this awareness of their mediumship abilities, spiritual gifts, and they're like, but I know it's not just for me. I know it's not just about me connecting with my loved ones. I'm meant to develop this so I can help other people do the same.
Yes.
And so if there aren't people who are mouthpieces, AKA doing what I'm doing, being vocal about it, we're
Yes.
never going to help the next generation of light workers rise to be able to do this work because not one medium can do all the work. It's like a community, it's a village, it takes a village to
Yeah.
raise a child. Well, it takes a village to rise up this next generation of light workers. And we struggle with, okay, I know I'm meant to do this, but how do I quit my job? And how do I deal with the finances? And how do I plan and all of that? And I just say, go back to simple. Get anchored into your why, get anchored into yourself, connect with the spirit, let them lead. Once you have that, then find somebody who can support you with the next steps, but it has to be aligned with you and your goals, not them trying to make you fit into their mold.
Yes.
And you can do this. And I truly believe, and I hope this resonates with people because we spend a lot of time taking classes and workshops and training and mentorship, personal
Yes.
development,
Yes.
our tools, whether that's books, whether that's tarot cards, whether that's whatever, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot that we invest into that. And I think we should be fairly compensated. Now, I don't think we should be ripping people off, but I do think that we should price our services according to the value that our clients get from us. It's the whole money thing. And I think we, as spiritual entrepreneurs, need to look at our money mindset and our relationship with money because there is this thing about if I charge too much, then I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. If I charge X amount of dollars, it means that I'm not heart centered. And it's not true. I really believe that money is an energy exchange. It's not just about what we can get from the money. Because I'll tell you, when I started off, I never took a penny. I was reading and doing everything for free for several years, which I have no problem about, and I'm not complaining. I actually still do a lot of volunteer work and service work, teaching classes, taking divine services, and I never take a penny.
But that's just who you are.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be compensated. And this is the thing that I was telling people. I said, because they said, oh, well, in the Bible times, I said, listen, if you're going to talk about it, get it right. I said,
Mhm.
because I've read that book back and front. I said, but in the Bible times, they took care of the ministers, the healers,
Mhm.
which is, the clairvoyants, all the people, the psychics, the mediums, they took care of them. Jesus walked around with them 12 people and he ain't never had no job.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Girl, I'm writing a book on that because I've been just wanting to, yeah. Yeah,
It's true.
but they did. They took care of them. So
Yeah,
take care of me. Yeah, I won't charge.
absolutely,
And you
absolutely.
know what I mean? And I mean, we use money now. We don't use cows and goats and pigs and you know what I mean? So we have to think about that. It's like, nah, I like to eat too.
Mhm. Me
And
too.
and if I'm working for God, why should I get paid nothing? So
Absolutely.
that's really how you feel about God. This is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, Lord, I might need to write an article on this. But
You know what? That would be powerful, Tammy, because there's this relationship that people have with religion, spirituality, and money, and there's such a big disconnect.
yes,
And what I say to people is that we can give freely in so many different ways. I have tons of free resources that I give that are readily available to people. I do. I have a free mediumship video training course. I have my podcast. I have my newsletter. I have all kinds of stuff.
me too, same.
Then there's the client's journey, and I have my offerings from 0 to high ticket, right? And that is to meet people where they're at.
Yeah,
But I will never feel guilty or bad about charging what I'm worth because I know that what I pour into my clients is going to enrich their life 10, 20, 50 times fold.
yes,
And so if I am able to create a life where I'm abundantly paid while I'm being anchored and ethically doing the work that I'm doing, that allows me to continue to show up in that same energy, that same vibration, that same state of fullness and connection where I can continue to show up in that way. But people think they can quit their job and do mediumship 8 hours a day. Honey, no, you won't. You get sick real quick because it takes a lot of energy to do this. And so I tell my students, I'm like, y'all got to reframe this. There are organs that are used in the production of mediumship. There's a physical reaction. For me, my sugar gets low. I'm not diabetic, but my sugar gets really low.
yeah,
And so I limit how much mediumship I do in a week, a day, that allows me to take care of me, my body, my energy, my mind, my soul. So when I show up, I'm on my game. I'm
yeah,
ready to go.
the best version of you.
That's right, and I feel there's a shift that's taking place within the spiritual community. There's a lot of sketchy shit going on, but then there's also this wave of ethical light workers that are coming up, and they're rising, and they're setting a bar, showing other healers, light workers, this is what you can attain so you can do the work that your soul called you here to do, so you can make the impact that you're born to make,
Yes.
because we need to be filling ourselves up so we can still pour into our clients. And that's really my philosophy. It's not about, a get rich thing. It's about, I know that I deserve to have a life of freedom and abundance. Now, I'm not rich, but my bills are paid, and I like to have, I don't like having credit card debt. My car got paid off, that took time, but we have a nice little condo here in Vancouver, and I like to put money away for retirement, and I think those things are reasonable. And nowadays in Canada, it's so bloody expensive, and I won't even talk about our government. That's another show, honey. But
Say, girl, please. I talked about that on my YouTube channel with somebody. Just they were talking back and forth, and they were talking about UK politics is messy, getting messy, and
mhm.
guys, and I was like, politics is just messy, and I am so ready not to hear about it.
Yeah, me
And
too.
so I'm just like, every time, because you know how men are. My husband, he's looking at the things, baby, look at it. I'm like, no, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at it. I don't really care. I don't want to think about it. I can't have that in my awareness because it's too much. No,
Mhm.
I just,
Absolutely.
no. I was like, peace is what we have to have. I said, and apparently it's not going to happen in this situation. Yeah.
Yeah, the cost of living's high. So, I mean, I'm glad that when we've had a lot of things that have taken place, especially from COVID to now, that it hasn't affected our household.
Yes.
I'm really grateful for that because I have family where it's really impacted them. And then my mom was dealing with some really severe illness, and it was nice to be able to pay for her medicine. And my daughter had a cancer scare, and it was nice I was able to get her into a private doctor because in Canada we have universal health care. Those are things that I've been able to do for my family because of what I do for work. It wasn't about me, and it's never been about me. It's about making sure that I can help others, continue to help others, And so we got to think about the bigger picture when we're doing the spiritual entrepreneurial work. It's not just about us. It's not about us. We're the vehicle.
It never was.
But no, but let's take care of ourselves so we can still do this humbly.
I agree. And it's amazing every time I think about just being able to do this work. And also, I like what you said about, the spiritual community changing because what decided was that I am never going to gatekeep,
Hmm.
and I saw that in myself and because do you do numerology at all?
No,
So
I'm interested in it, but I'm like, not yet.
I just found out about my life path, and so that was good. And, a few other little things because I actually interviewed a numerologist twice, but, and he was so good. But, anyway, my life path is 9, and that's the humanitarian. So that told me everything I needed to know, because somebody asked me something and I said, I did a whole workshop on that shit. It's on my YouTube channel for free. For free. I was like, I didn't charge nothing for it. I just did it and I do that periodically anyway because it's
Hmm.
just like I did one on healing divorce and breakup. And it was so amazing. I did that and a friend of mine reached out to me and said, me and my partner are getting going our separate ways. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. She said, you know what? She said, I watched your video. She said,
Wow.
and I was like, oh my God. And I'm thinking to myself in my mind, I'm going, I hope I didn't cause them to break up. But she was like, no. She was like, the things that you said, she said, I started looking. She said, and the signs were there, but I didn't see them. She said, so I just want to tell you how much I appreciate and love you. I was
Mhm.
like, wow, it was
I love it.
amazing. Right. And I met her just like I met you.
Yeah.
I interviewed her. She's an astrologer and all that too. And so I was like, all right, but it was just, I think I said that to say that I think about that and I think how many times would you had to have paid 47.97, 197, $250 for that workshop that helped her to heal something that
Mhm.
she didn't even know she needed healing? And I had like three or four, about 10 other people reach out to me and tell me the same thing. They were like, that thing, that helped me so much. And it was like a 30-minute workshop, but I had did it on camera
Perfect.
and put it up. And so I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing that because I enjoy that.
Mhm.
I said, and I believe that people need that. And it's not all the time that, they got to pay, because I feel like they'll see your stuff. They'll see
Yeah.
who you are. They'll see the authenticity of you, and they'll want to be in your energy anyway.
That's right. People have to get to know, like, and trust you before they're gonna wanna book a service, take a
Yeah.
class, basically buy from you, really. And this is where when you talk about creating a spiritual business, we need to figure out our client's journey and create offerings, you know? Like, my first thing when I tell people is you need to start being visible. So start people need to get to know, like, and trust you. So get on your phone and start talking. Talk about stuff that lights you up that's related to the work that you do with your clients. And then you need to have something to get them into an email list
Yeah.
because socials crash sometimes. So create an email list, right?
Yes.
Have a freebie. So you can have like a little guided meditation or a free little ebook related to whatever spiritual work you do. They get on their email list and then create a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly newsletter, whatever works for you, and provide it with valuable content for them. Pour into them, share from your heart. People on my newsletter, I share the good, the bad, and everything in between, like what's going on, because I need people to see that it's not all warm and fuzzy. Like, yeah, I can connect with spirit, but I have like real life shit that I go through, and this is how I navigate it, and it ain't always pretty. And I want people to see this because then it helps people feel seen and validated in their own experiences. And my God, we have so many people that are so freaking phony
Yes.
online about how things are and how they navigate their shit with their spiritual, practices, but it's so inauthentic, and then it creates insecurity within people, and then they think there's something wrong, and then they start doubting themselves. No, no, no. I don't believe in that at all. So do that, get people into your stuff, and then you can let them know about your free workshop or whatever offering you have, right? The work that we do, in order for it to be successful, we need to create community.
Yes. I agree.
We just do. It's community. It's not about just selling, selling, selling. We have to form I mean, I've got a business background, and one of the things that I learned really early on in business is that it's all about relationships. It just is. And if you don't have any sort of relationship with people, they ain't going to come to you. Interestingly enough, I just did a private reading for a gentleman yesterday. He said he's been on my mailing list for like, I don't know, 8 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I was like, "Holy
It's so
dang,
awesome.
that's a long time." His wife booked the
Yes.
private reading for him, and I was shocked. I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "I love your weekly newsletters." Like, "Really?" He goes, "No, I love them. I love reading what you have to say." I go, "Oh." I mean, I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm like, I don't know if it's so good, but it's what you get. This is what's coming out of my cup this week, guys?" And, I was shocked, and he got to that place where his wife and him are talking, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that for you." And he got exactly what he needed. So we never know how the work that we do, whether it's an email list, like your email newsletter,
Mhm.
post on Facebook,
Yeah.
a video on YouTube, a podcast episode, you don't know how that work is going to touch people. This is where
Mm.
we anchor into our why. We get really centered in what we're doing, and we just trust that spirit is going to allow the people that are meant to hear this work, that are meant to be touched by this work, to
Yes.
find it.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
And it,
And it's surrendering. It's what I teach my students too. It's about surrendering the outcome. We always want to have the foot on the pedal and be the driver, but no, we got co-pilots. Hello. You know, just take a load off and do what you do from a place of love and service. And I promise you, spirit will come in and support you for the other things that you're like, I don't know how to do this, or I feel a little bit unsupported, or I feel like I lack knowledge here. Honey, I started calling in marketing experts from the other side. I'm like, but I got people that I call them like specialists when I do mediumship. I've got spirits that help me in certain things in my private readings and my teaching when I do demonstration. And I finally said, I know y'all are smart up there. I know y'all showed me stuff. I need an expert for marketing. I need someone to help me with my brand messaging. And I was stressed out about video marketing. I got a business coach for that. But I said, sometimes I still feel like I'm struggling. Can you just get someone to help me, please? So I can keep doing this work. They're bringing people in.
See, and oh my God. That is when you know that you're in alignment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because I was laughing because I was actually just listening to this thing called Hiring from the Heavens. Have you heard of
Mm,
it?
no.
I can't remember. I'll send it to you because the girl, she wrote this book. It's called Hiring from the Heavens. But I did this thing. I think it was a Shift Network. You know how they have different little.
Yeah.
So I did this thing with her, and she gave this I guess it's like her recordings of the book. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, it's recordings, and she talks about hiring the heavens, hiring a spiritual marketer. I hire a
Oh,
spiritual.
really?
Yes, it's so interesting.
Oh,
So when you were saying it, I was like, I wonder did she listen to that? Because I was actually just listening to that, re-listening yesterday. I was like, I gotta.
oh my God. That's so funny. Hey. No, I'm gonna hiring from heaven. I'm gonna write that down.
Well, let me pull her up and see if I can pull her up because I got it on I saved it to my phone because I listen periodically.
Yeah. I think it's important. Again, it's about developing that rapport with the other world and realizing it's not just us. Like I'm working on some projects right now and I have an idea, but then I go, Spirit, what are we doing here? What can this doesn't feel right. How can I word this? How can I present this? And then they just come in. Sometimes I get overwhelmed because I'm human. And then I pause, I get up, I walk away, and then I'll revisit it. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Mediumship is such a journey of healing, but it's this beautiful connection that helps us in really any area of our life. I don't care what it is. They have helped me when I've had major health issues. I'll quickly share a story. So I had this car accident, had a lot of vertigo, bunch of issues. Anyways, I get referred to a neurologist. Well, the wait time's like 3 years. Well, that ain't gonna work for me. That's too long. 3 years, that's Canada. Universal healthcare. It's brutal.
Um,
And
we wait like that here too, and we pay
it's
lots.
crazy. It's crazy. So I said, that's just not good. Can I pay somebody? No, we don't do that. All right. So I said, Spirit, I was stuck in bed some days because it was so bad, Tammy. They said, you need to call this one walk-in clinic. I've actually been to the walk-in clinic before, so I knew which one they were showing me. They said, you need to call this walk-in clinic. They've got a neurologist working there. They'll help you. Okay. I didn't call. I went there. So I walked in to go talk to the receptionist. I kid you not, God is my witness. They have the business cards of the doctors line up. There was a card for neurologist. I was like, are you kidding me? So I talked to the receptionist, had a rapport with her. I said, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'll talk to her for you. I'll give you a call. The neurologist had just started working there like a couple weeks before. Literally, she's brand spanking new. Like, oh my gosh. She phones me. She'll take you. It's going to be 3 weeks to get in. I said, 3 weeks better than 3 years, no problem. Anyways, I saw the neurologist. She helped me out. It was incredible. And they have just helped me out so many times. Even just recently, this past week, with some like major chronic pain flare ups I've had, can't get into a doctor, this whole thing. Anyways, I just did a little Reiki. Spirit, y'all come in, help me. Your girl's really hurting, like really hurting. And they just made it line up so quick. And it's not because I'm special, it's just because I know that they can help me and I trust them. And so, wherever you are in your work, you have to be able to trust yourself, number one. And then you need to be able to trust those that work with you from the world unseen, whether that's God, Jesus, your angels, your guides, your loved ones. I don't care who you work with. I do, as long as they're ethical and heart-centered, right? You do that, they're gonna take care of you, and I've implicitly put my trust in them.
Yes.
Mhm.
Woo! Oh my God, it's so powerful. So powerful. So powerful. I think that that is the to me, that's the point. Oh, there was a question I was going to ask you. What has been your favorite teacher?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I've been lucky. I'm so lucky. I've had incredible mentors locally here in the Vancouver area. And then I've also trained with a lot of UK British mediums. So my favorite would have to be Eileen Davies. She's a British medium.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
She now lives in Scotland. I'd say probably Eileen. I've done a lot of work with Tony Stockwell, another British medium. I love Tony. He's funny, he's a straight shooter. His classes are really large, but he's a really great tutor. I've done some stuff with James Van Praagh. I've done work with Michael Mayo, Gordon Smith, who's a Scottish medium. He's incredible.
Love him.
Simone Key, she's fantastic. She does trance work out, or she was doing trance work out of UFC and UFC. That's a college I went to, university I went to. Sorry, AFC. I've actually been really lucky. I've had her come in and teach a trance workshop for my online school. She's fantastic. But Eileen, because she has studied all different types of religion and spiritual philosophy. And I actually have her book here because I always refer to it. I picked this up when I was in England. It was a year ago in September, Mediumship, Touching the Stars. And this is such a good book. I'll just read the back here. Her thought is mediumship is as much about the discovery of our own self and our own true nature as it is the ability to communicate with other realms.
Mm.
At the very least, it enriches our perception, and it is the illumination of the soul where we learn to engage with life through human experience and glimpse the eternal. And she loves poetry and she's studied poetry and she has learned from some of incredible gurus, not mediumship, but spiritual,
Yeah,
and studied different spiritual modalities. She is just so incredible and does it for the love of the spirit. And I've done private mentorship with her, and uh, I love her. I think she's incredible. She's incredible. She's an incredible teacher, medium, person, and she's real, but she's so anchored in that connection of love and service to the spirit. It just resonates with me. It's like just being in her presence nourishes you.
yeah. That's how I feel right now.
Aw.
I do. I mean, your energy is like it's amazing. I have to.
Aw, thanks, honey.
So I have one other question. We're gonna land this
Yeah,
plane, but it's a question I ask every one of my guests, and I have never gotten the same answer twice.
yeah.
Amazing. In over, I don't know, 200 interviews.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So question is, if you could change anything in the world, what would that be and why?
I'm gonna sit with that for okay, I already know what that would be. If I could change one thing in the world, it would definitely be that people would have the realization that they're not just a human body, they're not just this physical shell, that there is a spirit within the body that's animating them. Pardon me, I'm tongue-tied.
Mhm.
And I believe if people I would love to, again, if it's God's will, is to have people have that connection with their own soul, that part of them that is timeless, ageless, and deathless, because when they allow the presence of the spirit to touch their soul, that's where true transformation lies. And it's when they allow the essence of that to fill them that they find and connect with and embody what true unconditional love is. And that would allow people to recognize the love that is being expressed within each individual. There would be no judgment. There would be no racism. There would be no prejudice. There would be respect, a tolerance, and acceptance. There would be service. There would be love. There wouldn't be the wars and the conflict that we experience because everybody would then be anchored in love.
Yes.
They wouldn't be looking at the physical exterior. They would be looking at the individual as a soul. And I truly believe that if more people awaken to who they truly are as a soul being having a human experience, we could experience heaven on earth.
Yes. I love
Hmm.
that. And I totally agree. Because that's the place that I love to work with people to get them to, is to understand, that they can they can tap into their God self.
Yep.
And you just as you were saying that, I saw a purple halo around you.
Mm.
So I was like, damn, her aura is purple. Oh my God. So beautiful and such a connection.
Yeah, I can feel my spirit team moving close because I'm like, I'm just sitting there and I could feel them. And it's just this inspiration that they give me, but it's just my heart's aligned with them. And I do believe if, like, when we come back to the physical world, it's really about a remembrance of who we are. Our soul's here for a limited amount of time to gain lessons, and they ain't always easy, but it's through the lived experiences that we're meant to have this remembrance of who we truly are, which helps us navigate the human experience. And if we have that connection with our soul, we're less likely to have conflict with one another, less likely to have conflict with others, less likely to have conflict within ourselves because we're in alignment. There's not that disconnect. And when we see fighting and we see strife and we see war and we see God, just turn on the news.
Yes.
There are people that are putting themselves in a position of I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And there's not about where's our common ground, but as mediums, as spiritual people, we realize that there's a commonality, and that's we're spirit, and that we're love, and we come from love and we return to love. And we try to embody that in all of our experiences. And I mean, we do our best, right?
Yeah.
But love really is the answer. And I mean, if we look at music, much of the music that we've been graced with and privileged to hear, the last 100 years, what's the one thing people talk about in music? Love, 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 love.
As soon as you said
Because
that, I heard love is the answer.
yeah, absolutely. And it's because it is powerful.
Yes.
And it's what I mean, again, if Jesus taught it, I mean, he's the big everybody knows about him, and that's what the spirit world's reminding us to do, to be, is the embodiment of love and allow it to guide us in our choices and our relationship with ourself, our family, our friends, our colleagues, the world.
Everything.
And just by doing that, that energy goes out into the ethers and has a direct impact on the people in our orbit, in our little circle. And then it just has this ripple effect. And so, one person can change the world because it is not them having to take the responsibility of it all on, but their acts of kindness and service and love touch people, and then that just has a ricochet effect.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's almost overwhelming when you think about it. How
Mhm.
powerful this work is and how so many transformations and transitions. Because I feel like this next year coming up is going to be something.
Yeah, Spirit told me a year ago in November. They told me, and there's a lot of stuff coming up, but it's really an invitation for those in the healing arts to step up and to be that embodiment of love and, stop placating people with your love and light, warm and fuzzy stuff. Start living it. Start living it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's the commitment that I made because
Mhm.
I'm doing YouTube and I'm hitting it now. Like I've been
Yeah.
on it, but now I'm like, okay, I need to build this. And I've been doing that. And that was the commitment. It's like, open the gates, open the doors, and stop with
Mhm.
all this BS. Come on. I mean, love and light is wonderful, but there's all kinds of other stuff. I mean, there's darkness because we need it. There's
Yeah.
there's all kinds of, and the other thing is too, is like, people, oh my God, it's just it just makes me want to scream because you see, you know, people saying all kinds of stuff that it's not real and not true. And you and I, we can hear that stuff and we're like, and for me, I try really hard not to do a lot of people in,
Mhm.
because when I start hearing that stuff, it's like you get that those sirens going off.
Yeah.
What are they talking about? And why are they telling these people? It's like when I heard somebody say, "Oh, you can only meditate if you sit up straight, and your feet on the floor." And I said, "Well, what about the people that paralyzed? They can't meditate. You know what I mean? Come on now. Why are you doing
Mhm.
this? And it's that kind of stuff. That's a simple example, but we can bring some other ones out. But it's that kind of stuff that made me say, no, 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 no. No, I have to be authentic. I'm real. I share my life. I tell people, I said, I could talk about a lot of things. I said, but I'm going to talk about me. So because then
Mhm.
you can see, and then also that I'm a real person. I have
That's right.
real challenges, and I've overcome a lot of things. Sorry, fuck up. Oh, my power was trying to go. But I was like, and this is the thing that I see so little of. Now I look up now and I'm starting to see, like, you came on my radar and I was like, yeah, she's good. She's real. I could feel the authenticity of yourself. And it was like
Mm.
the post, because you just popped up someday. And I was like, okay. And I looked, I was like, all right. And of course, I went on your page and checked. And I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, I need her on my couch. You did a video one day and I was like, it was real short too. And I said, I need her on my couch. And I think I commented in there, I was like,
Yeah.
because when you see that, you're like, oh my God, because there's so much of the other out there.
I know. Yeah.
So anyway, I just appreciate that. So we're gonna land this plane. Share with the people, what you got going on. If you have anything
Yeah.
containers you're inviting people, or where people can best connect with you.
Awesome. So I'm pretty active on social media, so you can check me across all socials. My handle is at Medium Courtney Dawson. I have a website that is mediumcourtneydawson.com. I have a podcast called The Connected Spirit, weekly podcast where I have discussions about how light workers can really step into their power and share their spiritual gifts with the world unapologetically, authentically, and ethically. And I have all kinds of stuff. So I've got a freebie for those people that are interested in unlocking their mediumship abilities with ease. So if you head on over to my website under my school, I have an online school, there's courses and I've got a free mediumship video course. You can grab it. There's 13 videos, bunch of guided meditations. Grab that. It's a real good introduction for those that want to maybe just kind of relook at mediumship, are curious, want to have some really good foundational training. You've got that. And then my mediumship development circle just sold out, which is incredible, but I've got some new offerings that are coming. So what I'll say is if you go to my website, subscribe to my newsletter, I've got a weekly newsletter. I'm dropping podcast episodes. I'm sharing all kinds of content, spiritual development tips just to pour into you every week. And then you'll be the first to know what I have up and coming. But I do online demonstrations of mediumship and in person. So you can check all that out through the website and come out and let me support you in your personal development, your mediumship development, whether that is connecting with you to bring through a connection with your loved one, providing you insight, clarity, and guidance regarding the areas of your life that matter most, or helping you unlock your spiritual gifts so you can grow a successful spiritual based business as an ethical medium. Wherever you are, I'm here to support you. And that's how you can reach out to me.
Awesome. That is so awesome. So this has been such an amazing, 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 amazing talk. I have enjoyed it so much. My heart is so full. I am
Yeah.
ready to go to bed. Um, but thank you so much for joining me here today, Courtney. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing, your spirit, your wisdom. You brought your spirit guides with you because, I seen you talking to them.
That's how we roll over here, Tammy.
Oh. So I'm just grateful though. I'm just so grateful because these conversations, they just light me up and they feed me. I can,
Mm,
and it was so amazing because I was giggling because you said, remember who you are. And
mhm.
the last interview, that's exactly what we said on that one. And I was like, wow, this is just totally in alignment for this day. Because that
I
was
love it.
something also that I also was putting out there. I was like, it's time for us to remember who we are.
Mhm.
Stop playing these games and let's remember who we are and let's be her, you know? So yeah,
That's right. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to come on the show. Really great to connect with you and just to have this really important conversation that I feel is going to support the listeners.
yes, yes, yes. And thank you so much. And so thank y'all for joining us because, without you, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing if you're not. And we just appreciate, the support. So again, thank you so much. Bye now. So you just finished watching or listening to Courtney Dawson, Medium. She's such an amazing, beautiful spirit. Oh my God. This interview had so many chunks and so many gems. You just really just gonna have to listen to the whole thing, probably a few times and take some notes because she anchored some things in, especially if you are newly on your journey, because she works with people who are newly on their journey and want to become professional mediums. And so she dropped some nuggets and some things that were really, really good for you to understand on this journey. So, again, thank you so much for watching us on Straight Outta Savannah. And if you are in need of any type of spiritual support, and I have my phone readings that are available, you can reach out to me using the details on this video or audio, or you can go to any of the social media details that I have in the show notes. And if you are wanting to grab information about Courtney, go to her website, which is in the show notes, where she has amazing resources and even some freebies that can help you. So, again, thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. Bye now.